Yeah, yeah, we back. Hey, we back, baby. We here with another video. We here with another one, and as you can see by the graphic, we're gonna be breaking down Josh Taylor against Ekow Essuman that went down, and we're also gonna be touching a little bit on Moses Itauma and figuring out what's next for him. So we got a lot of stuff we're gonna unpack, a lot of a lot of good stuff that we're gonna be talking about. So before we do that, you already know how things operate, man. We're powered by DNS Cleaning. So if you're in the Hampton Roads area and you need cleaners, whether it's Airbnbs, whether it's office buildings, rental properties, anything along those lines, those are the people that you want. So feel free to reach out to them on Instagram or Facebook, or you can reach out to me. I'll make sure you get all the information that you need, so that way you can reach out to them. And also, we do have sponsorship opportunities that are available as well. So make sure you tap in with us through email or any of our social media platforms, and we'll be more than happy to talk business with you. But let's get down to this thing. All right, y'all. So before we talk about the main event, gotta talk about the heavyweight young sensation, dog, Moses Itauma. Hey, he got the juice. He got the juice, man. He continues to impress. Now he's at a point where there's no turning back, right? He's in the upper echelon of heavyweights now. He's ranked now the number one contender, heavyweight contender by the WBO. As we know, the WBO heavyweight title is currently held by Alexander Usyk, and we can't forget about Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker is actually the interim champion, so he's hopefully looking at getting the winner of Usyk versus Daniel Dubois if that lines up for him. So Joseph Parker's there, and now we got Moses Itauma that has inserted himself into this talk now. So there's a lot of different ways that Moses can really go, to be honest with you, considering he's so young. He can wait, but there's gonna be a long there's gonna be a long wait, right? If he waits for that world title picture, it's gonna be a long wait, because one would think that Usyk and Dubois, let's say they fight, there may be a rematch, that's involved in that, depending on how that fight goes. And then, like we just said, Joseph Parker is sitting there waiting, waiting in the weeds, I guess you can say. So Joseph Parker's in there. So it might be a little while before we see Moses Itauma in a heavyweight title fight. But I don't think it's going to be too far ahead, because, he's shown that he belongs. So now the question becomes, who's next, right, for Moses Itauma? Now I've done a little digging on the social media platforms, just to kind of see who the fans would like to see Moses Itauma fight next. I've heard names like Richard Torres. There's been a little bit of back and forth between him and Martin Bacoli. I've heard Philip Hergovich. I've heard Jared Anderson. I've heard Zhilei Zhang. So I've heard at least 5 different heavyweights that people are saying, man, I want to see him. I want to see Moses fight this guy next. And that always happens, right? Anytime you see someone that's making a good case for themselves, making a good showing for themselves, there's always going to be people, right, that says, well, I want to see him fight this person. I want to see him fight this person. I want to see him fight this person. It's a never-ending thing with that sometimes. And guys like Floyd Mayweather had to go through it. Even when he was retired, I still want to see him fight this dude. Canelo's going through it now. I want to see him fight this dude. I want to see him fight this dude. So, but I think that's really what happens when you're one of the upper echelon fighters. People want to see you fight against another great fighter, right? Another talented fighter. So it's no different with Moses Itauma. When you put on such a dominant performance like he's done time after time, right? People are starting to say, okay, we need to see him in the ring against this guy, because we know it's not going to be a pushover, right? We want to see what else Moses Itauma has in that tool bag, right? Because we've seen him pretty much, I want to say destroy, but it's pretty much been on a rampage with everybody he's been in the ring with, right? So we want to see, like, when someone takes that power and all that stuff away from him, and they make it a dogfight and make him work, maybe think a little bit, what kind of Moses Itauma are we getting, right? What kind of skills is left in that tool bag, right? Like we said. So those 5 names that I mentioned, I'd be cool to see him in the ring with any of those guys, but only time will tell, right? Because I think Queensberry, they've done a good job with Moses so far, and you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. You don't want to get to a point where you put him in the ring with someone that he just may not be ready for yet. So he's in the upper echelon, but you also want to be mindful of who he's in the ring with and who you match him up against. He may be ready for everyone. I'm pretty sure Moses will tell you he's ready for any and everyone, but also at the same time, when you got someone that's young like that, that's pretty much on its path to being a world champion very soon, you also have to be very careful on how you move them along. And like I said, Queensberry, they've done an amazing job with Moses Itauma so far. So I'm anxious to see what's next for him. He's been nothing less than sensational. He's catching the world's attention. I know he's a prospect, well, not even a prospect anymore, but he's from the UK, right? He's from across the water. From our friends in the UK. So he's getting a lot of attention over here in the States, a lot of attention over here in America. So, and he's spoken that he wants to come to America. I think history shows that in order to be a true global star, right, you have to come to America and test your skills. Anthony Joshua's done it, Tyson Fury's done it. Guys like Lennox Lewis has done it, Vladimir Klitschko have all come from across the water to test their skills over here. And I think Moses Itauma is going to be no different. So best of luck for Moses Itauma. Good showing. And like I said, I think we're all anxious to see what's next for him. So I can only imagine it'll be some good things ahead. Good things ahead for Moses Itauma. But let's get to this main event, y'all. It was Josh Taylor versus Ekow Essuman. Now, this was in Josh Taylor's his backyard, right? This was in his stomping ground. So before we get to the actual fight that went down, there's a couple things we got to talk about on why this fight was so important for Josh Taylor. So we're gonna go back. Okay, so he had the fight with Teofimo Lopez. That didn't go his way, right? Okay, so now, after that, he has the first fight with Jack Catterall. A lot of people feel like Jack Catterall won the first fight. Okay, so they run it back. Jack Catterall ends up winning that fight, right? So now we got 3 kind of questionable performances by Josh Taylor. It's not the Josh Taylor that we're used to seeing against guys like Ramirez and Prograis. Fights like that. So he had those 3 performances where people are kind of wondering, okay, what kind of what Josh Taylor are we getting? Are we getting the same guy that we're used to seeing, or is this someone that's maybe getting a little older that's not the same fighter that he used to be? And this was important for him because now we're going into a 4th fight of this streak. Now this is in your hometown. Ekow Essuman is a very good fighter too. I was actually surprised when this fight got announced that he was going to jump back into a dangerous. This is a dangerous fight. If you've seen Ekow Essuman fight, yeah, you may say he's not one of the Jaron Ennis's of the division or anything like that, but that doesn't escape the fact that he's super durable, and if you don't have enough power to back Essuman up, he's one of those guys that will continue to move forward. And I think we saw a little bit of that in the Josh Taylor fight, right? Josh was occasionally able to catch him with a couple things, but Essuman was just continuing to press forward. And a lot of the punches that the fans go, ooh, and ah, you see a fighter's head jaw back and things like that. A lot of those punches were landed by Essuman. So, like we said, this was an important fight for Taylor. This was a good fight, and the decision was Ekow Essuman actually got the unanimous decision win in Josh Taylor's backyard. So this puts Essuman in a good trajectory, obviously, with a good win under his belt. As far as Josh Taylor goes, this is what we got to talk about, y'all, because like we just said, right, he just had those performances against Catterall, those 2 against Catterall, and then he had, like we said before that, the fight with Teofimo Lopez. So this was a situation where Josh Taylor kind of had to reintroduce himself and kind of remind people on the great fighter that he is. And Essuman was able to go into Taylor's backyard and get a decision. So this kind of leaves a question: where does this leave Josh Taylor now, right? So we can pretty much say 4 kind of questionable performances. He's about 34, 35 years old. So I don't want to say that he's done or anything like that, but we have to, we have to say, like, what's maybe at the world level, we may not see him again. I'm going to be 100 with you. But it's just a waiting game, y'all. I think if I'm going to be 100 with y'all know I love to shoot y'all straight. I think Josh Taylor's in a tough spot. I really do. Because he moved up from 140. We just talked about a little bit ago about what happened at 140 with the fights with, obviously, like we said, with Lopez and Catterall. So you move up to 147 and you want to get back into the world title picture. But you're looking at guys like Brian Norman and Jaron Ennis, who I think would be bad matchups for Josh Taylor at this point in Josh Taylor's career. And I don't think Josh Taylor really showed the power at 147 to get the respect from Essuman. So you start to ask yourself, if he's not at 140 and if he maybe is having some issues with power at 147, where does he go? Because obviously he can't go up to 154 if you're having some issues at 147. So these are some of the things that, like, we got to ask ourselves, y'all. So let me know in the comment section. I want to know a couple things from y'all. I want to know what is next for Josh Taylor, right? What path do we take as far as with Josh Taylor, right? And let me know as far as with Moses Itauma as well. Let me know, who would you like to see Moses Itauma fight next, right? Who would you like to see him in the ring with? Let me know what you guys think. I'm always here for the comments. It was a good night of boxing. We're going to see what's next for both guys. I'm intrigued to see what's next for Ekow Essuman. I'm intrigued to see what's next for Josh Taylor. I'm intrigued to definitely see what's next for Moses Itauma. So like we said, it was a good night, a lot of action. We'll see what's next. Make sure y'all stay locked in to the channel, obviously, because what happens with all of those guys, we're going to make sure we have, all the news and all the updates and all that good stuff ready for you. So thank you all so much once again for tapping into the channel, y'all. Hey, for Team YBF, for my man Iron Mike, for my man Sugar Ray, we up out of here, y'all. Until next time, peace.